What's up, Rockstars? Today I'm going over the top 10 worst deals in board gaming on crowdfunding right now. Thank you to my channel sponsor Into the AM. As a company that believes hard work and a great product is a proper way to conduct business, I am delighted to have them as part of the channel. They have some of the coolest graphic t-shirts around and an absolute best fit and feel that has continually exceeded my expectations. With new shirts arriving all the time and other products like boxers, hats, and even a monthly shirt club, I wholeheartedly recommend them to you. Check out the link in my description of this video for an exclusive 10% off everything they sell. Now, as always, a huge shout out to my patrons and YouTube members. It is through their financial support that this channel is possible. If you appreciate the videos I make every single week for you guys, and you can give even $1 a month, there's a link down in the description below. Thank you so very much. Out of the way, let's go ahead and first discuss this new series, and then kind of discuss why. Okay, so this is going to be covering the worst deals as I see them. Now, that it pretty much means what's on offer versus how much you're charging. And that could be based off the components, how much you're offering. It could be based off the price or the structure of the campaign or the quality of the thing that you're getting. There's a lot at play. I'll discuss each one. Now, why did I decide to do this? I think it's because really, I am allowed to show mostly new things. So I do a news video where I show all of the awesome, cool stuff that I'm looking at or that you guys might be looking at that I might have an opinion on. So it's not always positive, but either way, I cover a lot of the big things that are kind of typically mostly successful, unless it really catches my eyes like an unsung hero indie kind of dev thing, in which case I love to shout those out. But there's a lot of indie stuff going on and not so indie stuff going on that just doesn't quite hit the mark for me. And I typically kind of pass along that just because it would fill up an already large video. But it is, I think, a great opportunity to provide some unhateful feedback. In other words, some feedback that they might need to actually either see better success or actual success, and in a way that isn't like trying to belittle them or make fun or anything like that, and really just kind of look at that. And I think we can all learn from it. You get to see new stuff. Some of it might be something that you're like, hey, you know, you said the price is off, but I think this is great. There's some stuff here, especially towards the end, because this is in order, by the way, of, you know, like worst to, or like best to worst, if that makes sense. So the number one spot will be, I think, the worst deal in my mind that's available right now. So anyway, that's kind of my thought process around here. I might decide to do a top 10 best value. It kind of depends. I think that would have a lot more overlap with my other video series. So you guys let me know in the comments below about that, or really about this series in general, and what you think about what's on offer. I won't necessarily do these nearly as often, right? Maybe once a month. Maybe not. It depends on kind of what's on crowdfunding spaces at the time. So without further ado, let's dive in. We're going to start out in GameFound with Intergalactic Ace by Art of Steel. This needed $2,500 and it's $2,653. So we're starting out with something that's actually funded technically. And so there's 4 days left to go on top of that. And they're unlocking a super fun character. I'll go and show that as well. Why I think this doesn't quite hit the mark for me. The first part is just the component look itself. The cards themselves, you kind of saw a little look here. I think actually look fairly nice. And you know, it's fun. You get like a little board cube kind of thing, and you get the pill box. Right, like you get some really wacky silliness and stuff going on there. There's a like, I mean, that's a USS, you know, entrepreneurship or something like that. I don't know. You can see kind of the goofiness in the cards there, but the actual, like when you're playing, you have a very plain kind of pegboard with plain pegs and a generic ship, you know, shape with generic dice that you're rolling, and then it just doesn't look the greatest there, right? And there's some really bad kind of UI UX stuff with like the fake chrome slashes that you can kind of see here, like the brushed chrome that you get. And so when you're playing the game, like this is it. There's your ship with the pegboards and the cards. Like it's very unthematic looking, if that makes sense. But let's talk about what you get. So first of all, the price is about $35. Now, what do you get for $35? Right? You get 6 of these kind of flat boards with 50 of these pegs, 32 of these little, think of it as a meeple, and then a handful of cards and 2 6-sided generic dice. And by handful, I mean literally it's like, 22, 16, 8, and 4. So nothing like extensive at all, right? I mean, you could sell these cards for $5 and make a profit, right? And then the generic stat pegs and stuff. The custom cutting of the wood would be a little bit and the meeple, but honestly, it's not. $35 is, a big box expansion for like a miniatures game. Now, obviously, they're hoping for a larger set of people to get the miniatures to not be overly expensive. But depending on the miniatures and if they're single cast over that, you can fit quite a few even on one steel mold plate that you get, right? You put up little components in there. Anyway, it just, in my opinion, kind of a bad deal. If it was more thematic, more artsy, you could forgive a lot more of that actually. And that's because art costs money too. Ideally, you're paying your artists and so, or stuff like that. Or if there was differences, so each of those 6-player ships look different or something like that. Like I could maybe start in there, but I don't know, $35 plus shipping for something that looks like that. That's a pass for me. So I think the game actually looks kind of neat. You're like, essentially adjusting your stats, and then you have to like attack them, and your attack has stats, and you have to beat that, and then you're rolling on your dice to kind of be. Anyway, he explains it actually quite well, though you have to turn up the volume in the video. But just a very indie effort, and I feel a little too pricey there. But that's all the way at the number 10, so that's all right. Let's go into number 9, and that will be Philosophy, also on GameFound. It was hoping for $24,000 to fund, and it's raised $4,000, which I think the $4,000 is great, by the way. I think that's actually quite good, considering what we're looking at here. But $24,000, I just don't think they were adding it together. How many people would have had to back to make $24,000? That's a lot of people, because you kind of have to think your goal is this, right? And your cost is this. How many copies do I need to sell? And then is that realistic? And then if not, then something needs to change. And I don't think that was realistic at all. But I don't think it looks like a bad game. Again, I don't think a lot of these look like bad games. Some of them do. We'll get to those. Those aren't at this part of the list. But Philosophy is a very abstract game. It's supposedly about 2 people having a conversation, right? Or a group of people having a conversation. But as you can see, there's no like conversation happening here at all, right? There's some art around there to make it look pretty and all that, but it's really just, kind of like almost a Go Reversey style thing where you're like, putting a block there, and that does different things there. Now it's a little bit more advanced than that, right? There's a good image here. So there's like a targeting icon, an impact icon where you're kind of moving things around, and it's supposed to do the flow of the conversation, right? Okay, seems cool. And it actually has something great here. It has a perfectly free print and play. If you want to play this game, you can come right here, you can click this button, and you can play the game. You don't have to buy it. So what is this doing on a top 10 like worst value when it's free? Well, because if you want the actual stuff printed out for you, let's go on to rewards here. Boom, we're going to have $30 for that. What you see is what you get there. This is $30. A small little cardboard with the little cardboard pieces that get to go on there. And those are your pieces. That's it. $30. That's wild. That's only 2 players. You want to play with 4 players. You want to go wild with 4 players. $45. $45 is quite a bit, I feel. My opinion there. So that's a lot. And anyway, I just too much for my blood. And it's kind of interesting that it's like the same. So I don't know what's up with that. Like €29, 29. I mean, I know it's close. I didn't know it was that close. Maybe we're $1 to $1. I know I think it was $1 and some change last I saw. So, but whatever. Either way. I mean, it looks pretty enough, right? I like these little, tiles that you get. That looks nice and pretty, sure. looks like a neat game. I'm just not spending $45 on that. This is not $45 to me. So, yeah. Anyway, there's that too, and they're not gonna make 24,000 off that for sure. Especially when you're giving away the game for free. As nice as that is. Let's look at token trays for number 8. Now this wanted 10,000. They're at 5,900 with 3 days to go. Could the last 2 days make or break it? Maybe. There is a link down below to all of these. I don't want to, judge. If you disagree with me or you're interested in one of these, you want to go check it out and either read more about it or maybe back it and, even hopefully get it. By all means do that. So token trays will be linked down there in that description for you. But it does have like 40% more to go. So kind of doubtful here. And again, the problem I feel is just price. I think it's a neat enough thing. It's certainly not super unique. So a lot of other people already have solutions for this. And I feel it could be made maybe a little bit better. So let me discuss that a little bit here. So this right here is a nice little simple game, right? With 4 of these little token trays here. Those 4 token trays cost $65, and that's on a discount for buying 4 of them. So what you're seeing here is a very simple board game with $65 of 4 pieces of wood right around them. That seems a bit much to me for, just beveling it out and drawing a line there. Now I get it, it's nice cherry or something like that, but another problem I feel is I don't think it's there's only 3 per, right? So there's only 3 little trays per, and they're very shallow. I don't know if you notice this or not, but they are not deep. And so I feel like it actually limits what you could really put in there. You can see they start to pile up pretty darn quick. You can't actually, in my opinion, fit too much in there. Like most games, especially if it's just yours perhaps, but if it's like a whole game's, I feel you're gonna run out of space and they're gonna start, there's not a whole lot of gap in between them, and so they're gonna start overflowing on top of each other, especially, like that looks nice there, but then when you go to grab it out, unless you're like pinching it, I think it's just too small, if that makes sense. And even like, for the card, because it's only three wide or whatever, right? That, the little trays wides, you just can't fit a lot of cards there too. How often do you are playing a game where you have 1 to 3 small cards and that's all you need to display? So I just don't see a lot of great use for it. And on top of that, without having a whole bunch, in which case it's kind of inconvenient that they're separate. And then on top of that, and as you can see, it looks like they put 4 in there and kind of overlapped them. I guess you could overlap the cards a little bit. So it must be big enough to where you do that. But then it'll start standing up, right, as opposed to leaning, because you're taking up the space. So anyway. And then $20 a pop otherwise. Or you could get a pack of 4 of them for $65. Or you could get 10 of them for $145. Yeah, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. All right, next up, number 7, Inferno card game, back on GameFound. This is by Shifty Lads. 589 raised. They want 2,604. That's a very precise number, by the way. I don't know how they got that, but I like that. 2,604. Like, this seems very odd. But I think this one, the game looks neat. I actually like the game. I think the game looks pretty cool. And it's very pretty. I think it's very pretty. They did a great job on the art. I think that looks very, like, I don't, and again, I have dark mode on here, so it's all dark, but, so normally this would blend in a little bit more. But, like, I think the art here looks very, very nice. But, $28 for a 72 card deck, I believe it is. Something like that. Is just a bit much for me. Yeah, so it's 72 playing cards, but there's obviously, like there's 10 life ones, right? So there's some repeats there on what you're getting. Of course, this is the cards you're getting. So this is probably the unique art that's in the game, plus the actual cover of it itself. Unless that's on one of the cards too, I don't know. But either way, 72 cards for, what was it, like $28, $29 plus shipping. $30 is a bit much for that. It's not the worst, which is why it's actually down here. But you can get a pack of cards with more cards than that for like $15. In fact, there are some on GameFound for that. Now, they don't have the art, right? So there's like a hockey game, for instance, I looked at once that was like $15 for the deck of cards, because the cards are very cheap to print. They're not that expensive. They really aren't. And in fact, cards do great for small print runs. So it's not like a miniature thing where you have a very expensive steel mold that you have to inject plastic into and all that, and costs like, several $1,000s. None of that. Okay, so printing cards, super cheap, super easy. Every manufacturer can do it. You can shop around. Very, very easy to do. Quite cheap. It's a lot like dice, and even cheaper. It really is. So it's not that expensive to manufacture. There is the nice art, and that's kind of what keeps it from just being like $30 for that. No, that's ridiculous, because the art is, I think, very nice. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's that great of a deal per se for that. And a lot of those cards, I think, are a little wasted if you don't play at higher. It says for 3 to 8 players. If you're playing around the 8 players, I think that's pretty good. If you're playing around 3 players, there's a lot of cards you're just not going to touch, which is fine. But with the repeats, you're still seeing most of the cards. You just don't need that many cards, if that makes sense. So you're kind of almost overbuying at that point. So looks neat. I don't know if I'd be willing to pay $30 plus shipping for it, if that makes sense. All right, so now we are on number 6, and we're at Mini Meeple Melee. This is by the Baron's Game Room, and this has successfully funded 7,400 gold. It's at 12,311. 491 people are loving this, and I think that's great. But I'm gonna say it's still a bad deal, my opinion. This, I think, is priced because of its novelty, not because of manufacturing or even necessarily game design or anything like that. Okay, so what's going on here? It's kind of like the Tiny Epic things, which I've not had great experience with. I mean, they're I guess they're epic for the size, but that doesn't make them epic, if that makes sense, in my opinion. But what's going on here? So what do you get here? You get this. It's a little tin, a generic tin, which again, very cheap, that has a sticker on it, right, for the cover, and then you get these magnets that you kind of have to stick together, and then you get to put your little meeple guys on there. These pieces of wood are kind of the most advanced bit of this, I believe. And then you get some dice that I think look kind of neat. I mean, they're definitely kind of nice. I don't think they're drilled in custom. It looks like they're just paint. I can't quite tell. It obviously costs nothing to paint, but dice are cheap anyway. But if they're custom and they're actually like drilled with the shape, then that is a little bit there for sure. But that plus a few cards is what you get. So this is what you're buying, okay? And you're paying $20 for it. Now, $20 for what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't know, like 10, 15 cards. Which again, cards are super cheap, and there's no like images to really make besides this right here, which might be something that's even generic there. I don't know if they use that or not, but either way, you get that. You get a little bit of like tree and art. Like, I don't think they broke the bank paying for art on this thing either. The tin is again a generic thing. I'm sure it costs a couple pennies. Plus the sticker, there's a few more pennies there. You get the basic meeples and stuff like that. There's not really, besides these 2 wooden things, there's not really anything custom here at all. It's just using generic stuff. So, while neat, while I'm sure it's a little fun, people say, oh, I wish I had this on the plane, stuff like that. I can totally understand that. I totally get the appeal and the novelty of having a little tiny game that you can play that's a little kind of dinky thing, but hey, it's better than, staring at nothing, I guess, if you can't access your phone or don't want to, or, whatever. Maybe you're on a road trip going camping in the mountains and you have no signal, something like that, and you just want to pull this out and play it. You can totally do that. I get the novelty. I feel it's priced by that because there's no way this isn't having a huge profit margin at $20. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing where that $20 goes for some Altoids in there maybe or something. I don't know. Okay, all right. So now we're at the halfway point. Mindwalkers, the card game. Let's take a look at this again. When they want 595, they have 1,245. 20 backers, so there's a small little set of them there. Mindwalkers Gaming is the company. It's their first thing ever, but they have backed 3 other things, so that's cool. I don't know if I'm not going to bother looking into it. I don't know if they're, if they've been doing it or if they just did it just now or something like that. This is what you get right here. and you're gonna be paying $49 for it, so $50 for this. Now the problem here is that a lot of these cards are blank because you write on them. I think it's a neat idea. Okay, so the gameplay seems neat. The art looks nice. I actually don't mind the art at all. I think the game looks quite decent. I just don't think the price is there. Again, so inside the box, what do you get? You get the 80 mana spell plus artifact cards, and then you get 8 location cards and 32 mindwalker cards. These are the blank cards you write on. Okay, you write on it and then like hand it to another player. It's kind of what you do. Pretty nifty. 10 hero cards and 10 identity cards plus just some super generic tokens that, you know, are kind of tossed. So again, not a whole lot. Now, technically you have over 100 cards there. Over 100 cards for $50 though? Really? Really? I mean, that's expensive. Now, again, it does have art on some of them, but not all of them. Like I said, the Mindwalker cards, you're just gonna have, first of all, there's like these kind of things, which aren't really like art or anything like that. They're just pretty generic. And then you have the actual cards that you write on that are blank, and then you mind walk another person. In other words, you tell them, hey, do this, which again, super neat. I think that's kind of cool. I'm just not seeing $50 in that. I'm really not, for about 100-ish cards and a couple meeples. Just not a thing. I mean, you do get 8 different dry erase markers, so there's that, I suppose. So again, I think the game looks kind of neat. I actually dig the art. It looks kind of like a Tatooine, but set on Alderaan kind of thing going on there, if you ask me. But anyway, looks cool. Just priced out, in my opinion. All right, starting into the heavy hitters now. So number 4 is lore TCG/CCG. You can't have both. Pick one. First of all, I don't know what's going on there, but is it a trading card game or is it a collectible card game? I don't know. Maybe it's a living card game. I don't know. Just lose abbreviations or something. So why is this not working out for me? Well, I think the art is super neat. It's very retro. I'll put it as retro. It reminds me of older Magic the Gathering cards, if that makes sense. Maybe ones from like the 80s. Or I guess like early 90s is what I would say. Like some of the first stuff. So maybe not quite as bad, but some I think are actually better than. But either way, like some super Cthulhu-ish stuff going on here, right? It's not the best well presented, but it's decent. And as you can see, I think it looks quite nice. I like the cards. I do. I think they're pretty cool. Like that one's fun. Look how colorful that is, right? So you get a nice variety, different styles and stuff like that. The back of it looks nice. I dig that. So all that's cool. Okay. The problem with this is the price. Imagine that. Look at this. $45 for one of the decks. You'll need another deck to play a person, which means it's almost $100 to play this game. Are you serious? I need to buy a 45 deck, and then you need to buy a 45 deck, or I need to buy 2 $45 decks to do that, and it gets worse. It gets worse. So if we look down here, at one point, yes, okay, so it just keeps going. Look at this, the early bird for booster packs, because you get to get the random booster packs. Of course you do, so you don't even know what you're getting. It's all a gamble. You're gonna get a whole bunch of stuff. It's the Magic the Gathering style stuff, right? The Pokemon style stuff, which I'm not actually against. I love drafting, for instance. However, if your early bird super special sale deal for a booster box is $75, you're playing with the big boys now when it comes to pricing, and I don't think you're one of the big boys. Otherwise, early bird number 3 is $99, so which means they're probably pegging this at over $100 for a booster box of booster packs that you can open up, which is ridiculous. So the $45 deck is ridiculous. I can get a deck from Magic the Gathering for less than that to be able to play with other people. You can get dual things where you get 2 decks for less than that. I can get that for $30 at Magic the Gathering. If Wizards of the Coast is trying to rob me less than you, you're trying to rob me too much. My opinion here, that is way, 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 way overpriced. Ridiculous. So again, $67,000, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually barely funded, and that's off of 190 backers. Which means not a lot of them are going super heavy into it. I imagine a few people are going super heavy into it, which tends to happen anytime these pop up, because people are kind of playing the game on, what if it gets popular? What if it gets popular? I got the first one, right? And if they have the money to throw at it, they'll just throw it at it. But yeah, that's that. No, get out of here with that. That's just silliness. $99 and you're going to tell me that's a good deal. $45 for a single deck. I think I'm going to do with that anyway. Nope. Moving on. Number 3, Rescue to the Dark Castle. Uncapitalized to the Dark Castle. Obviously very indie. We got the stretched images. We got all sorts of oddities. This is a weird one, guys. So this is on the list, and it's so high on the list because the price actually I think is bad, and the quality seems sketch to say the least. So let's talk about this. First of all, you're going to see a variety of different art. Even their, if you click play on this, some of the art they're using has like the watermark stamps on it, right? So they just took it off the internet. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. These characters, I think, actually look fairly decent. I'm not too bad about that. The map looks bad, but then you see like these like cards here, these beasts, and they look really, really great. They also look like, again, they were taken off the internet and they don't match the rest of the art. Then you get some weird stuff like this where it says 21st Game Design, a game created by 21st Game Designers Company, where the designers is with an A, DESINARS, as far as I can tell there. Now, I went and looked that up, and as far as I can tell, that thing don't exist. I have no idea what that is, why it's watermarked here twice with like a weird umbrella symbol that they put there, and it's not mentioned anywhere else on here. That, you know, it's done by the Scott person instead, and you know, they talk about a story, but they don't mention that at all, and it just... Okay, this is obviously, you know, some oddities here. The map and moving and how you win seems kind of odd. Look at this. Like, this looks actually quite nice. And then you get this, and you're like, okay. And then you get this, you're like, oh, all right. And then you get stuff like this, and you're like, wait a second. This, like, you can tell the stuff that they made. It's very prototypey. Very, we're gonna take stuff that we might or might not even legally be allowed to use to try and like put this Kickstarter together on little popsicle sticks of a foundation. Don't blow on it too hard. And then you get stuff like this, and it just, and then you get this guy. Like, if you had this artist and the person that made this art, or that Sweet Phoenix art, I feel, you get Mipples instead of Meeples, Miples. I did make sure that it said an M. That's not an N. We're safe. However, if you want hard paper Mipples, you can get those as well. So yeah, it's messy, guys. It's messy. And on top of that, $15 you have to spend $15 to get a 10% off code to be able to buy it in the future. And a thank you appreciation license. A license of appreciation. $15 just to get a coupon for 10% off, which is probably about $15. Or you can spend $30 to print this thing out. $30 for the print and play. Now, what do you get? Let's go back up to this thing. So obviously they need a consistent graphics, right? Obviously they need to really focus on explaining the game and really kind of just, it needs a lot of work here. But this is what you get for the $30 if you want to print it out. 7 Mipples, 16 tool cards, 7 characters, a rule book, cardboards, whatever those are, healing potions. I don't know if this is 2 or what, or 32 equipment cards that are just the stars, and the more stars the better. That's there. 12 guardian cards with amazing art that I'm not sure they paid for, and 40 challenge cards which just look like a generic graphic with kind of text on it, and then the game board itself where you get to kind of move around. Now it says like you win the game based off of like getting to a location first. So I don't necessarily know what the attacking's for and all that. And you can play with up to 7 people with the 7 characters and 7 Mipples and all that stuff, right? So if you want to play with 4 players, it's $80 for this. $80 to be able to play a 4-player game. And that's like that's the core. It says 4-player pledge, but that's the core, right? Because before that's just print and play. So this is an $80 game apparently. Then if you want to play with 7 players, it's $89. Now I don't know what you need extra to get that. I'm not sure. And then $99 you get the Backer Special Edition. I could not find on this page what the Special Edition was, what it gives you that's different. But if you want to spend more, you can certainly get it, though you'll have to be one of 100. And you still get a 10% off code. I don't know what the 10% off code is. Is that like towards? I have no idea. Maybe it gives you free shipping. Or if you want the all-in, it's $190. Yeah, so anyway. Yeah, don't back this. Definitely needs a lot of work on the business side of things, the UI side of things, the everything side of things. There's not a part of this that doesn't need updating, in my opinion, to make it any form of successful. But it does have 4 backers. Now I don't know who those 4 people are, but they're there. All right, number 2, we get HitBits digital miniature bases for your TTRPG. Now, it doesn't have to be that. It could be for a board game or anything else you want. Maybe you just want a little LED light in a little square case. I don't know. Okay, so what is this? Well, this is exactly this. It is an LED that can be different colors. A single one housed in a little square box with a little remote. Now, that is $14. The problem with this is how generic this is. You could do this. This is not hard to get an LED. You can buy these. I mean, you could buy more actually. So let's actually look at this. So first of all, take a look at this remote. This generic, obviously from some China package remote junk here, right? Here we are in Alibaba, everybody's favorite site here. Look at that. I can get for anywhere from 50 cents to $8.76 for a set, 2 sets, minimum order. I can get 300 LEDs on a flexible strip with a remote. A remote with more buttons, I might add. There's more buttons here. There's a whole extra row of buttons there. They're selling a single LED that they just put in a box with a worse remote. And I don't even know if it comes with an app. Here's wish.com. If you want to go to wish.com, look at that. You can get a little puck full of lights with that exact same remote, because it's all just generic Chinese crap that you can get that everybody uses. It's the same LEDs with the same thing that they just stick in different housings. In this case, they took one of them from a worse one that has less buttons and then stuck it in a little box, and they want $15 for that. You can get these big pucks for $7, and they want almost $15 for a single one. $13.95. Thanks for the 40% off. Best deal. Normally $23.25. Again, you can get this from Wish, which is bigger, brighter, and better because it even has a cooler remote, for $7. Half of their 40% off, please. Yeah, get out of here. This is a terrible deal. It's not, I don't even think it's a great idea, but even if it was, it's just not designed well at all. It's not thought of well when it comes to having a whole bunch of different ones, and like I don't even know if it looks messy. It looks messy, and it's poorly priced. And finally, number 1 is Barbaric. I have shared this several times with you, but I have not dug into the pricing structure of this. It's bad. It's bad. This takes number 1 for me. Because first of all, the lost freaking potential, because it looks like a really neat game, and because of the audacity and what it implies. Okay, so let's go ahead and discuss this. $231,000 raised, 958 people. First of all, that's a lot of money for less than 1,000 people. So people are spending a ton of money on this, obviously. That should give you a hint on what's coming, okay? If less than 1,000 people have raised $231,000, They're putting in hundreds into this. And boy, are they. And they pretty much need to. So, if you didn't know, Barbaric is a super neat little game. It's a little skirmish game. You get to fight each other with monsters kind of hanging around doing different stuff here. And you get these super cool art with these super cool, like, punk animals that get to ride these other robot animals that are, like, super neat and super cool. Like, here is a freaking, like, kung fu rooster that can like ride a beta fish if you wanted. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's wild. It's crazy. Here's a hippo with an afro. That is awesome. I love the art style. I love the design. I love the minis. I think they all look cool. The idea is cool. Cool game. But sadly, money. Let's talk about money. So notice something particularly weird here. You see the $120, and you're like, oh, $120, that's a normal pledge, right? And you see Core Box Part 1. Part 1 seems kind of odd. Well, what comes in Core Box Part 1? What comes in there? Let's get past all of this. Let's see what we're actually buying here. Let's see here. So here's Core Box 1, okay? And Core Box 1 comes with 1, 2, 3, 4 characters with 4 mounts, and 1, 2, plus 6 repeated minions, okay? And a game board. And then, some tokens and other stuff too. Either way, $120 for that is ridiculous already. I'm sorry, but it is. Even in today's pricing, $120 is crazy a lot for what you're offering there. It's just not that much. I mean, you have these like wooden meeple kind of stuff and plain like Mancala, little discs and generic cubes that you can buy in packs of like 500 from any kind of bits store to make your own prototype and stuff. Like, this is not revolutionary stuff here. I mean, the minis are cool for sure. They totally are, but it's not $120. So it's already a bad deal if it was just that, but it gets so much worse. This is why it gets the number one. They are preying on the art and the design and the hype and just hoping that people think it looks cool. You could buy Part 2 for another $120. What is Part 2? It's the same stuff. I mean, I'll scroll and show you real quick, but it's the exact same stuff, just with 4 new people, including, like a freaking parrot with a boomerang. I mean, like, it's super cool. I dig it. I really do. I like it. I love the design and everything. And then you get new monsters, same exact thing, 6 minions, a little lieutenant kind of guy, and then a big baddie. Okay. So, and then exact same style stuff, right? So no real difference, just more stuff. If both of those were combined, I would say maybe 120, but they ain't. Now, maybe stretch goals fix this, right? Maybe stretch goals fix this. Let's take a look at that. Actually, before we get to stretch goals, no, I'll go and show stretch goals. I'll go and do that. You're going to see something a little weird here. Oh man, the scroll on Kickstarter. I swear, what a terrible website. Okay, so let's go look at Afro Lady here. Okay, so she looks pretty cool, right? And they've unlocked her. That's awesome, but only for gameplay and collector, right? Only for gameplay and collector. Only for gameplay and collector. Only for gameplay and collector, gameplay and collector, gameplay and collector. You're going to see this a lot. All these, only the cool rooster guy, only for gameplay and collector. Well, gameplay and collector are tier rewards, so not everybody's getting these. In fact, the big things, the majority of the big things that people would want, gameplay and collector. Well, that's because if you want the gameplay set for $300, you'll start getting some of those neat stretch goals. That's right. If you paid them $120, they will give you a few things. You can get some upgraded resources or, something, I don't know. You can maybe get some upgraded player boards because they're not going to make 2 different SKUs out of that. You know what? We'll even upgrade your dice and your cards and stuff like that. But if you want like more stuff, sorry, only for gameplay and collector. So if you want pretty much anything here, I think eventually, oh, look at that. Promo cards. Oh, they'll give you some promo cards. There you go. Otherwise, gameplay and collector. And the collector, gets even better. $335. So if you want stretch goals, you need to give them $300, which is, just disgusting of a business practice to do that. I hate it. I always call it out when I notice it. And so I'm calling it out here. Welcome to the #1 spot of a bad deal. Yeah, that's garbage. Don't put your stretch goals only to the people that are willing to give you $300. Acting like the people that don't give you 120 are just nothing. That's stupid. It's bad practice. It's bad form. It's manipulative, and your 120 is a bad deal to begin with. Even if you started including stretch goals, it would then maybe get good. I'm not saying the gameplay's bad. The art's beautiful. The gameplay's probably cool too. The add-ons even are ridiculously priced. It just, none of it is well priced. Oh, and that's all Easter, which is, I mean, it's not the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive manufacturer either. But by far. So it's not like they're like doing ultra premium here in the manufacturing either. Because that's just not the case. It's very standard stuff. Okay, so let's get past all these people and all the very pretty images. Okay, so we're gonna start looking at prices here. Look at this here. You want to get a neoprene mat? $40. $40 is dumb. It's dumb. It does not cost that much. The neoprene mats are not that expensive. You could make a profit selling that for $25, even with the stitching. So if you're charging $40, that just shows how giant of a profit margin this company thinks that they need on everything, just to, I guess, keep making a bunch of money. Or how about $30 for some card holders? Look, the prices are just stupid, is what they are. This is a single mold printed 6 times. It does not cost that much. $30 is ridiculous. Each one of these costs pennies to make. It's the mold you have to do, and the mold is literally one flat line. So it's not even taking up, they probably were able to fit it on one that had space from one of their other miniature things. Just keep it on the same steel plate. You're good to go. I doubt this even costs them almost anything more. $30. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Everything about this is overpriced and stupid. And the fact that it happened on such a cool looking game, it makes me upset. You've earned the #1 barbaric. Thank you for nothing, Hexahouse. Thank you for nothing, Hexahouse. That's dumb. I don't like it, and that makes me upset. So, okay, that was the top 10 worst deals right now on crowdfunding that I could find that I wanted to share with you guys. Hopefully, there were some things to learn, some interesting things to see, new things to talk about. Some that looked a little sketch, some that just make me upset, some that I would love to see succeed and just need some honest feedback. There's a lot there. If you have any comments at all about this video, about what I showed, or maybe something I may have missed or need to take a look at, let me know in the comments below. Of course, there is all the links, of course, to all of these down there as well. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Talk to you guys again very soon. Bye, guys.